have a burger? There's something that they're making. I guess so. We'll let Bobby sit in the middle. Bobby, do you want to sit in the middle?
Well, first of all, you don't get to have your first day. This is a show. You get all this shit for the show, and you aren't on there, and I am going to bring you on.
You can't look at the question.
Obviously, you haven't been,
I've been to some. You got my stats on the back of it.
That's funny.
This is how I do my record keeping.
I thought your hair was blue the other day. It was.
Okay, so I have this on the back. You want to listen?
Oh, Andy Allen here. Okay, move. Where? Yeah, that's fine. Wait, you let me count out. Over here? No.
Oh, it's too much about me.
And it's like 80 different cups.
I wanted to lie, and I was like,
Come on in so we can start the show. Everybody else is here.
Got the logo.
Smarter since 8:30 this morning with Jason Bandana. How did that go? I need you guys over here. This is an empty audience. It just doesn't look good.
just like church, Bobby. They're here.
Okay, fine. When this goes on the air and you're all looking sparse, you know, the Academy Awards, they pay people to fill the seat. Okay, good morning. I'm so excited today that we have finally, as our closing the year of 2018, two of my favorite longtime villagers and friends. Now you can get up. Jane Anderson and Beth Vincent. Come on in.
Where's the music?
Oh, yeah. Well, you know, no, I think I'm going to put you, do you want to sit together or sit?
I was a middle child, so the middle's always good.
Okay.
I'm the middle child. That's why we work well together. We're both middle children in our family, so.
You're going to need the table. You get the
Excuse me. There we go. I'm settled, Bobby.
I sent them a list of questions because Jane especially, Beth too, are pretty particular about not being surprised. They want to know everything they're going to be asked and said, so I'm going off script.
Ah!
Uh-oh.
There you go.
No, I promise I'll
No,
be
we're
good.
fine. No, go off script. We're good.
So we've been through a lot of stuff together.
All I can say, Bobby, and as I was thinking about it with Beth, we created a lot of stories for you.
Well, you did.
Over the years.
Over the years that she has shared with everybody during their trainings.
So we call them pickles now.
Yes.
But we used to call them
We call them
stories.
stories.
We're not realtors, we're pickle makers.
So I just want to know, you guys, forgetting real estate for a minute, you guys are a couple of people who are a couple and are been together how long?
25 years come January. Andy's shaking his
He
head.
thought
I
it
don't
never
believe
would
it.
last, right?
We were a customer prior to that, and we looked for 3 years, and you never bought anything.
You sold my
I
first
know,
house.
that's the only way you ever made a buck.
It's true. All true.
So they've gotten their comeuppance since then.
John.
Yeah, okay, well, good. So Andy is what got you inspired for this, huh?
Yeah, it sort of freaks me to see Andy sitting here because now I can no longer lie. He will correct everything I say because he's my truth meter here. But
Well, maybe
yes.
you should sit here.
Yes. No, I had been, my history in 2 minutes, I studied music, and I was in New York studying, finishing school, and after I finished all of this study, I just thought, I do not want to be a starving musician. And someone said, you could work for the Girl Scout organization, and the national office is in New York, go ahead and interview. So I walked in one day unannounced with my overalls on, and they said, given your background, an entry-level position is available in Nashville, Tennessee. So that's how it happened.
Oh, really?
That's how it happened, and I ended up with the Girl Scout organization for probably 15 years. And
When did you meet Beth in here?
North met south. This accent, I am not from New York City. I'm from Tennessee from all my life. So
what's Tennessee?
we met in the exercise class. Actually, it's kind of boring, but anyway. Now we can't sing squeeze exercise in.
Not yoga. Not yoga,
No,
Pilates, just plain old exercise.
It was dance related.
Dance related.
Dance.
Yes.
You gotta say it.
What?
Jazzercise.
That tells your age right there. That really tells your age. Anyway, you never know.
Anyway, I was 40 at the time, so that's how I can gauge how many years Beth and I have been together. I will be 65 in January, so 25 years.
Yeah.
Oops.
But now, you were in the Girl Scout organization, and Beth, as I remember, when I came in, but that's when you joined Village, but before that, you were in the Vanderbilt.
Always
with the
healthcare.
healthcare.
Yeah,
So
so
what
I
was
was
that
a-
about?
I was a nurse, and then for like 8 years, always critical care, heart related. I don't know much about all the other organs of the body, but I got your heart covered. And then I worked for Medtronic, which is Medtronic is a Fortune 500 company, and they did pacemakers and defibrillator implants. So I did all surgery coverage, sales, and then sales management. And then found it, it was a great job, I loved it, but one day I looked up and I said, I've lived in Nashville for this many years, I don't know anything about it. I don't even know my own community. And I was at that point, I kind of wanted to change, and I said, whatever I do next, I want to be in the community, I want to be at home, I want to get to know Nashville. And then Jane was really happy, so I had coffee with Mark.
Oh, well, wait now. Yeah, now let's not get ahead.
Okay.
We haven't even gotten Jane out of the Girl Scouts.
Oh, okay.
And she's still in the Girl Scouts.
Okay, so that's what I did.
So you were over here at Vanderbilt.
Not at I was everywhere.
She was everywhere. She was sent here from Memphis to open up the Medtronic market here. So she opened up business at St. Thomas, Vanderbilt.
Smart lady. So here we are. We're in Nashville. We're jazzercising. And across a crowded room through sweat and tears, there your eyes met. And it was love at first sight. And then you decided to buy a house. Is this all accurate?
Yeah, that's pretty accurate. You know, probably a couple years before that, I had befriended Andy, and he was very gracious about taking me to see properties, to see homes, even reached a point where we had written an offer.
Had you met Beth at this?
No. And,
Pre-Beth.
pre-Beth. And here it was, we had written the offer, and I think Andy was about to submit it, and I called him and said, Andy, I can't do it, I just can't do it.
Ah,
So we-
David.
So, yes, I was one of those clients. And then ultimately, I decided I was really kind of bored with the working
With Andy?
with the Girl Scouts. Never bored with Andy. And so I talked to him about getting into real estate. And
Because
that's how I
he
got-
was making it look so fun.
He was making it look so fun, and it really is the truth. I mean, and it's kind of a philosophy I've carried with me, you know, that yes, you want to see the transaction through, but you also want to have a good time in the process. So, but anyway, that's
So you
how it
got
happened.
your license.
Yes,
And then you went to Renaissance?
yes. Andy owned a company called the Renaissance, which he has Renaissance, not the Renaissance, but Renaissance that he started in the 70s. And Mark had been with Renaissance for a brief time, and then he
4
left.
years?
4 years.
4 brief years.
And he left Renaissance to open up Village here and really market this
Well,
area
not
of town.
here, but up the
Well,
street.
in the village, in Hillsborough Village. And so anyway, I went and talked with Andy about it, and he said, you know, Jane, if you think you need the education, I would suggest you go to Shirley Zeitlin. Now, remember, this is 1995. So,
Hey, I was already here.
yes, you were. I don't know why he didn't say legacy.
He didn't even know me.
But if you want to learn by the seat of your pants, join us. So of course I joined Renaissance. Could not work with Andy.
Of course. And then how did it end up that you ended up with Andy?
Well, you know, in a few years, Andy.
Have we met Beth yet? I'm trying to get Beth in here.
Yeah, I think so.
I didn't remember.
Have we just?
We jazzercised a little while. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, and I had come to Village
Oh, yeah,
probably. I was
95.
already.
We were together in 92, so.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So,
Yeah, I was at Village by the time we met.
I was putting in pacemakers out of the city
Yeah.
with no community.
so I came into Village in 2003. So you had already been well ensconced. You were one of the found close to.
Close to. I was not the first wave, probably not even the second wave. I maybe was the third wave, and I would guess there were about a dozen agents at that time, Mark, is my guess, Andy.
I came before I did.
And then Andy.
There were no more than 20, I think, but I did.
Yeah, yeah, so, but Andy ultimately decided to close the business, close Renaissance, and he sold the building to Mark, and that's how you have the Village East office. And Andy joined Village, and I met with Mark, and I felt like we jived. The values of this company are ones that really jived with my nonprofit sensibilities, you know, the giving back and the involvement in the community, so I felt it was a good fit, and then of course was really happy when Andy decided to join too, so anyway, that's my history.
I think they were love at first sight.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've been pretty close.
He's my main man. If I
And
have a-
everybody
if
should
you
have
have-
one.
If I have a main man, Andy is my main man.
So, I remember when Beth came on board,
Oh,
because that was the year I came. 'Cause I remember talking to you.
Wow, really?
Yeah. So, what has made, how did we talk Beth into this?
It wasn't that hard. I was ready, and like I said, I just was looking at, Jane was already in real estate and probably needed a little bit of help, I thought, which she really probably didn't, but I'm like, I'll come help. And it was sort of a perfect segue, but I was just gonna do it part-time and then figure things out, post-corporate life. And I did meet with Mark, and it was inspiring, and I thought, this could be fun. And I had lived in homes and renovated them and sold them.
Lived in homes.
Yeah, I mean, so I wasn't a flipper, but I do my own and sell it, and then I think we're on 5 now, but,
Yeah,
and now we're not doing anymore.
not doing it
But,
again.
so I have this love of real estate. I came from Memphis, Tennessee, and we did it there too. So sort of always engrossed in homes and making them better and whatever. And then through Jane, I said, well, I'll just do this for a little while, and I'm 15 years in now. And just like her, I mean, what I was attracted to about Village was it was unique. I loved the boutique idea. I had come out of the corporate world, and I'm like, you know, kind of over that. I thought it was cool. I loved the purple and white signs. I thought it was different. Mark was doing things other people weren't doing with, you know, going downtown and refurbishing the old areas, and kind of, you know, was a trailblazer. And I don't like cookie cutter. I like trailblazing. I like rainmaking. It was just a perfect fit, and the values of giving back to the community and making it a better place to live. We both just connected with that, and we've been connected with it ever since. So it was.
So your transition into real estate, though, I would imagine your connections with the healthcare and yours with the Girl Scouts has helped build your business way back in the beginning, wasn't it?
Yes.
So how did you get it started? Because when I came on board, you were flying and still have. I mean, I've never seen you dip much in terms of production and flow. So
It's been a wild ride, let's just say that. There's been an evolution that sometimes I don't know why it went this way. But certainly, I mean, with the Girl Scouts, you know, the council at that point here has 33 counties. So it took in all of Middle Tennessee and some southern Kentucky counties. So when I got into real estate, I mean, it just sort of flowed that when I worked my sphere of influence, which was the direction I took, I was going everywhere. Mark talks about his 1 mile radius. I probably have a 50-mile radius, you know? So, and that's how it evolved and how it remained, really. So yes, I mean, that was something
was that how you built your foundation? Is just tell everyone that you were connected.
Yeah, I was not a systems person. I was not someone to sit down and write goals, and it's really kind of interesting because with the Girl Scout organization, that's what I did. I mean, I directed a whole department, program department, and we were very much into corporate planning, and so we wrote those goals. We knew how many days something was gonna take. We knew how much it was gonna cost. But when I walked out the door, it's like all of that left, and I ended up just being a person who does the belly to belly. I go out there and I meet people and I talk the talk, and it's worked.
It's worked. And then Beth, you came in with the healthcare connections, and that, how did you parlay that?
You would think that's what my business was in the beginning, but here's to all you who are segueing in from other industries. It didn't always work like that. One of the reasons I was leaving healthcare is I was ready and wanted to do something different. But, you know, I did what you said. I said, okay, I'm gonna go back into the healthcare industry, and that's gonna be my sphere. And I even got into reloading physicians, like we'll get into relocation.
And you did some of that.
And I did some of that, and then I think I called on HCA, and I got it all kind of going a little bit. And then one day I woke up and said, this is really not what I want to do, if I were honest with myself. And so I just sort of let that go. I mean, I didn't call and say it to anybody. I just sort of quit going down that road because I wanted something different. I wanted to attract different kinds of people. And
so how did you do that? Well, how did you attract those different kinds of people?
Just like Jane. I mean, I'm a belly to belly.
She's a belly to belly.
We were early on. We were really involved in things in our community. I mean, we supported events in the gay community and the arts. That was our thing. So
then supported in more than just a financial way. We chaired various committees for years, like Outrageous. Those of us who've been around a few years, Mr. David Payne, remember the Outrageous event, you know, and I became known as the bus lady. So for 3 years in a row, you know, one of the features of those who were the bigger donors is we would arrange for bus transportation so they could go from place to place and be with their friends. So I was making all kinds of calls, and they would be very clear, we want so-and-so and so-and-so. But it took a lot of coordination. But, you know, that's how
So that's,
We got
you know,
really to know people.
we just got involved in things that we enjoyed doing, and the people were there, and then you're connecting with the people, and then, so, you know, sometimes you might start down one path and switch to another path, but whomever you're connecting to,
Opens up new doors.
yeah, that kind of
And that's
becomes
the
your
truth.
sphere, so for me.
Was there ever a time though when you felt that the momentum wasn't quite there? Like, I guess I'm asking, a lot of us, when we started, there were those times where, oh my God, am I gonna get any business, and is it gonna come to fruition, or was this a good, I'm in it first, you build it up, and then you come in and add to it, so there wasn't that kind
There
of,
was no thinking like that.
nothing
No,
strategic?
no, nothing strategic.
Not
Nothing
really,
strategic.
we've never been, we're strategic in our heads, and we don't really, and you know, we're together all the time, so we're always talking the talk, and what are we gonna do, and whatever, but we do recommend writing it down, and having clear goals. I have to tell you, there was one guy, you may remember, Mark, but we were in the houses, well, there was one house which was village, in the village, in the beginning, and I was even there then. And there was a coach that came and spoke to us, his name was Jerry Rossi. And
Oh,
remember
yeah,
him?
I remember
His-
Jerry, yeah, we went to a thing,
Yeah.
yeah.
He said some things I'll never forget, but he was all about, you know, it's great you have it in your head, Beth, but at some point you need to write it down. And he taught us this technique. He said, if you have goals, he said you have to put them out there. Number one, get clear on them, and engage all your five senses. He said you need to picture yourself, and you need to hear them, see them, feel them, taste them, touch them, and smell them in your head. And then he said, then you've sort of engaged
You
yourself.
visualized it and engaged yourself, yes.
And then, and so I'm good at that part. I'm like, all right, I got it. And then he goes, but then you have to break them down into strategies and tasks, and put them down, and then work backwards from the goal you envision. So I'm still working on the strategies and task part, and I highly recommend it. But it's always stuck with me that if you do that, you really do kind of more engage with what you want for yourself. So.
Yeah, I can see that. That's that same old thing, if you want a car, put it on your refrigerator. You wanna be skinny, put a skinny person in it.
Yeah.
That
Oh, I've
does
worked
not
on
work.
that one for years, Bobby.
But you've done such a
Oh,
great
no.
job. Okay, you know, I have to say, would you all agree that these two are probably one of the most positive, energetic people that walk through these halls?
Okay.
And I never see any gloom and doom, and are you laughing because I'm wrong? Or are they just hiding it from me?
Just wanna make sure Andy doesn't open his mouth. Where's John McClanahan? John can't say a word either.
Well, I've heard a little bit of drills, but basically, I think they bring a tremendous energy wherever they go, and I feel it here. So, how do you stay so positive most of the time, Beth?
Well, I have my days, but I try not to bring them out to other people because, you know, it doesn't help anybody. But, you know, there's always something positive to look forward to. I don't care what kind of day you're having. There's always somebody else suffering more than I am. So for me, if I get really down in the ditch, that's an easy way to pull myself out. But plus, one of the things I love most about real estate are the realtors. I mean, people talk about buyers and sellers and clients. I love them too, but from the transition from the corporate healthcare world into real estate, I just love the people. All you guys, I mean, everybody's like really working hard, regardless of what phase of your business you're in. So I kind of like that, and there's a lot of creativity. So, you know, sometimes I come in here because I'm having a downtime, and then y'all lift me up. So it kind of goes both ways.
That you do for me. Just seeing you does it for me. A lot of, I mean, I think we all draw from each other, and so I want to thank you on behalf of Village for all of this fun energy that you bring to our company.
Well,
Your hair lifts me up,
we
Bobby.
bring challenges too.
If I have a bad day, I just come and say, what color is Bobby's hair today?
I try to bring variety, diversity. Okay,
That's good, yeah.
so in this, you've had a very successful business. You've been in our top 20 and 10 and 5 all throughout these years. But you've also now are changing a little bit of your direction, and you have found time, has it always been where you've able to find time for yourselves and your hobbies and your travels? And
We're least good at that. I mean,
That's our weakest area,
is balance?
balance.
Really?
And when you're together and you're in a business together, I don't know how many of you guys are doing that, but I mean, you gotta find a way to turn it off, and it's hard, but I think we work on it. And then try to find other things to do for fun. We just bought an RV, it's part of our Segway plan, and it's opened some doors. I mean, it's funny how sometimes when I can't figure it out, I just go do something crazy, like throw myself off the bus. And buying an RV was kind of that way. It's like, okay, if we can't seem to get out in nature and have fun, we'll just go do this. Now it's sitting there looking at you every day, and you're like, I gotta go somewhere in it. So it's, you know.
And you did.
And we did. And we're trying to create more balance right now, but it's hard to do.
How was it sleeping on the table?
It was good.
Don't you have to undo the table to make the bed, and then you put the table back?
No, you have 2 beds and a table.
Oh, wow.
Actually, it's not really a table, it's a fold-out piece of wood that comes up, and it's like a TV tray that you sit there and eat from. So there is no table.
So you did take.
So if you want the real truth, you ask me about the RV experience.
I think balance is always hard when you're independently employed. It's just, like I said, I came out of corporate, we'd have a new product that would come out, and this magic shipment would show up with the product and all the materials that you were going to use to go educate people. We even had colored M&Ms to go with it. And then you come into Village, and you're like, I mean, into the working for yourself.
Into the industry, yeah.
And you've got to create it all. And it's hard. So it's hard to find balance, but I have some ideas how you can do it.
Well,
Something we didn't do,
what would that be?
learn from us, is get help early on. I mean, the minute you start getting busy, do more of the things you love that bring business to you, and hire some people.
I want you to write that down in your forehead.
I know, Bobby, I did listen to you.
So, talk about that assistance in your business. I was gonna ask, do you have any?
No.
No.
Jane's mine and I'm Jane's.
Again, that's evolved, yeah, we're each other's assistant. That's evolved,
Yeah.
you know, so that at one point, Kate Nelson and us, we shared a full-time assistant, and it was wonderful. I have to say, that was probably our best years in the business.
And then, why?
She had to move. Her husband accepted a position out of state, so she had to move.
And that was it?
Well,
We didn't ever get another?
we did have a third member of our group who was a full-time, Rachel was a full-time real estate agent, and so she helped with a lot with our buyers and other things, just was a full working member of the team. That was a big help too. But she has family obligations now, so that has limited what she's able to do.
But the year we had Melissa, who was exceptional, we grew our business 50% that year, I think. Now, the city was on the rise as well, so, you know, all that was going on, but I can just tell you, it made such a difference in our ability to go out and not only have more balance, but to create more business. So you just gotta.
And having said that, was there anything you'd do differently if you could do it again? Like maybe hire earlier and consistent?
That's definitely one.
That's definitely one. I should have kept,
Don't shoot on yourself.
I should all the time. And it's a healthy thing. And I SHOULD.
Yeah, we got
I should have kept those organizational skills with me when I left the Girl Scouts. I should have still maintained that sort of corporate response to a business and way of work. So
And what would be different had you done that?
I would have strategized more, I would have known, and really when you do that, you're figuring A to B to C to D, you know, all the steps you have to make to reach that goal. You have thought it through. I should have done more, I should have kept some of that for sure.
And it would have rubbed off on me better.
And then what would we have had?
We'd just be more organized and probably have people do it. You can't be good at everything, so you need to do the things you're the best at the majority of the time, I think, and then you'll be more successful. So it's hiring people who cover your weaknesses, and for me that's always paperwork, it's always planning, it's always even goal setting. So you know, if we'd have done that, it probably would have made some difference. But
Do you think it's been good that both of you are in the same business, or do you think balance in a relationship is harder if one isn't?
Chandler can answer.
Yeah, I think it's, you know what, Bobby? I think it's different. It is, but yet, if, you know, I was on the road all the time in the other life, so you weren't really connecting either, so you had that problem, and then you're in business together, now you're, see each other all the time, so you just kinda gotta figure it out. It can work no matter what way you do it.
I
Are
have
you
to,
raising your
I
hand?
have to say something.
And if you're waving.
I know we're limited on time here today, but
No, we aren't, you are.
I have one story, I have to tell this story, and I hope Beth doesn't mind.
Oh, gosh,
I've so told it.
Oh, no.
So, when
I don't know
Beth
which
entered
one.
the business, we were actually, there was a Midtown office on Church Street, and Jane Garrett was the managing broker
Oh, wasn't that fun?
there. Yeah. And it was,
It was great fun.
it was
was
great fun. I
great
mean, it
fun.
was another phase of business for us, because at that point, I mean, Andy and I had worked with, some developments together.
Fifth and Main.
Row 8.9 and Ireland Street. Those of you that are familiar with that kind of pocket around the the farmer's market. Then Fifth and Main. Anyway, we were doing a lot of work with developments, and at that point we were with the Enclave, and
Kelly Pickler.
anyway, what was I saying? Oh, so Beth came into the business at that time.
What are we talking about?
And the way the office was configured, we had booths, and her chair was here and my chair was here. We both faced different directions, you know. And so we were one day, I don't know what we're doing. Beth turns her chair around, wheels it around, and she says to me, "I don't know how you've done as well as you've done
All these years.
all these years." And I had to sit there for a moment. And
But
think
tell
about
them
it.
why I said it.
Well, because as typical for me, I just walk into an appointment and I'm talking. I'm off the top of my head. I'm going what's in my mind, and I'm reading the people, and I'm trying to adjust what I'm going to be saying to whatever comes
She's
up.
flying by the seat of her
I'm
pants.
flying by the seat of my pants. Beth, on the other hand, is
I'm preparing.
she's prepared,
You know.
and she likes to prepare for any scenario
That
that
could
could
ever happen in
Right.
come up.
Hey, I covered surgeries. You had to have everything in your bag that you might need.
Right.
So I looked at her and said that there was crap on the desk just everywhere. I'm like, we're going for a listening appointment. Do we have a presentation? She's like, and I went,
Hell no.
oh wow. But guess what? I've learned a lot. I learned it worked, and you don't need all that. I still prepare a lot, but
Yes, she does.
I don't take a lot of stuff. It's usually in my head. But it's funny how that comes out when you need it to.
Yes.
But for us, that's how it's worked. As a team, we really, when you go call on a client, one of us is gonna relate to them, usually. We don't have a third person, better be one of us. And so,
You know, some people need more of her energy, which is a higher level than mine. Some people need the more calming sort of effect that I bring. And it's become like a sense for us. We know when we're sitting there, and we are also committed that when a transaction, we've landed the transaction, one of us generally is the point person. It's not two of us calling on those clients because we think it's just too confusing. So, I mean, it has evolved that we know who's the best person to work with this client that's before us.
So the bottom line is, you kind of rub off on each other. Some of you are in teams, some of you are not, but you probably have some confidant you're hanging out with. I think there's great value in doing that together, because it's hard to do a business on your own. Even if you come to all the education, you need kind of a partner somewhere to run things by or bounce it off of, because you're two different people, you're gonna have two different perspectives.
It
for us,
sounds
it's
like
really
you trusted each other, you let go.
Yeah.
You know, that's the hardest thing, well, I should say, you sort of let go. But you have let go for each other. In other words, if that was the point person, you didn't meddle.
No.
And you
No,
let
that-
that person run. I think that's a very,
And people with, you know, in couples, you kind of know. You know when you're not supposed to be meddling with something your partner is doing. If this is their gig to do, you let them do it. You don't go in with your helpful advice. So it's the same thing.
You're
And so,
a pro at that.
that's a big piece of,
We just say, thank you.
Thank you.
Right.
yeah.
But
So
it's worked well.
It's worked well.
However, you
it
know.
can either work
is
or
it
it
hard
won't
to
work.
let go then? Have you had a time when there was a difference, like you thought one should be this way and the other thought maybe this was the better way to go, no?
Not to
really.
the point it became, I mean, we just work it.
So you guys don't fight?
No, we don't fight, but I've had a few fights in my life.
She fight, yeah, we won't go into
Not
that
with
story.
Not with Beth.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's not go there. Okay, so
Yeah.
what advice do you offer? Oh,
There are stories to tell, and maybe we can do it when we're not on the camera. Okay? So if you want to hear stories, just ask us.
okay, I'm gonna ask you too, what advice would you give, and you've given a lot, to agents who are just starting out, and what would you give as advice to agents who've already built a business that are in kind of that now what stage?
We've been through all those stages. I would say for the ones starting out is know yourself. I mean, be authentic in whatever you go do, because ultimately you're going to be happier calling on whomever that sphere is. Like I said, I started down a road and it was lucrative, but I wasn't happy, so it didn't really matter. And so figure that out and just be authentic. We watched The Voice. Y'all watch that show, The Voice? Okay. Who always wins those shows or whatever? It's the people that are authentic and humble. And that's who, I remember the chicken farmer on, it wasn't The Voice.
That's Virginia Rook.
It was one of
America's
those-
Got Talent.
America's Got Talent. The chicken farmer from Kentucky. Does anybody remember him? He could not sing, but he won. And the whole deal was you just related to him. So my deal is be authentic, connect with the people you want to connect with. That's going to be your clients. And then just ask for the business. In the beginning, you just have to ask. And if you're transitioning out of another industry, it's going to take them time to see you in a different place. It took me, it was a year before they really said, she's really going to do this. So hang with it.
That's a good point.
It is a good point. It takes time.
You've got to, and how do you survive while it's taking time?
Well, and that's tough, you know, then you can't be real picky in the beginning. You gotta take things you might not relate to, but you just do it. But stay true to yourself, and then
Stay true to yourself.
and the work ethic thing is big. I had a niece, this is a quick story, but she lived with us for like 6 months trying to get her feet on the ground and find a job in Nashville. And I got, at 8 in the morning, she was in her pajamas on the computer. At 5 in the afternoon when I came on, she was in her pajamas on the computer. I said, what are you doing? She said, I'm job hunting. And I said, I realize you have to do the internet stuff now, that's where it's at. But get dressed and go somewhere where there's people, like a Starbucks or whatever. And because you're probably going to get better leads from the people in the end.
You are.
Which is how she finally got her job. But, you know, I always thought that was a little pearl.
Was it a little pearl?
So just get out with the people, ask for the business.
And how about the ones that are fighting a little bit of maybe burnout, maybe stale, maybe I've been here, done this a long time now, what should I do? Or how do I reinvent or revitalize myself?
You want to go?
No.
How do you Beth, how do you revitalize yourself?
Well, you get up, you get
Go
out the
fishing.
door, and well, fishing's good, that helps balance the bad days, but honestly, you just look for a different way to do something. I mean, there's a million ways to do something. What do you do, skin a cat?
That's not good. I
Yeah,
think
that
that's a
doesn't,
politically incorrect
Okay.
statement.
I just always think if something's not working, then something else will.
Well,
So
and,
try something else.
well, and oftentimes, if you have a sphere of people that you trust and that you can go and talk to about it, pretty soon somebody in that sphere is going to have another opportunity to open up. Things evolved for me. It was never. I knew exactly what I wanted to do, what I wanted to go for, and I knew my progression. But in conversations with people or with interactions, ultimately the business, and it just evolved and it created new and different opportunities. But I do say, when you are going down that new path, you have at the same time, you are thinking about the support systems you need in place to take care of wherever you're going to take your business. I mean, you don't want to create all these support systems, and by that I might be, partners with vendors, or it might be, contractor close help, whatever, however you wanna create, you don't wanna invest all that money and not go after the new business at the same time. It's hard to know what you do first, but I do think you need both to some degree, so that if you've been able to open up that new door, you know you're gonna be able to take care of it when it
So what's
develops.
a new door you open? When that?
Well, when I first started off, it was really pretty much, buyer-seller transactions. And then, for whatever reason, Andy and I, we started working with affordable housing and working those developments and, all the way up to Fifth and Main.
And then there was the
Which
crash.
those of you who know the Fifth and Main story.
Well, wasn't
know.
that at 2008 and
Yes.
7? So it was the wrong time. Right item, wrong time.
3 years of work, let's just say that, 3 years of work. Because in those days, I don't know if it's still true, the sales force went out and you contracted for commitments, reservations, basically.
It's the same.
So that the builder then and the investors then could go get the money from the bank. The bank had proof that what they wanted to do was viable, was gonna sell. So there you are for a year doing that, and then you have to convert those to contract, and then we have to start building. So about the third year into it, we had converted all the contracts, and then the economy just sort of imploded. So, Fifth and Main.
So how'd you,
That was good.
And that was painful. Let's just say it was emotionally and financially painful. Let's just say that.
when you're looking to take your business to the next level, I'm gonna add on to that,
Okay.
is take a
What
minute.
is the next level?
Well, everybody's gotta
Yeah.
define what that is, but stop a minute and look at what has worked and what hasn't worked, and do more of what has worked. I mean, we tend to just do what we've always done, and then we get where you end up where you've always ended up, right? So to change that cycle, and we just blow and go in this business a lot. I think I do. I don't know about y'all. I just get up every day and
Did it break?
and you blow and break in this business.
Was it one of these $500 mugs?
No, I got one of the cheap ones because
Okay.
I turn stuff over all the time.
Like I was saying, you blow and break in this business.
Good
I mean, the key is you just stop and think about your business, what's worked and what hasn't. And for me, if I just do that every now and then sometimes I just recycle in the right direction. So take stock of that.
And I know we're cutting short by 11 o'clock because
We gotta
Jane
go
and
to
Beth
luncheon.
never miss the GNR luncheon. There, and Andy. And I'm sure Andy's gonna save you a seat, so it's okay.
No, Andy's taking us.
Okay.
There he is.
Okay, Andy, I can
He's a
see he's
sweetheart.
pacing.
He's pacing.
Okay.
I drive really fast.
We really do have 10 minutes.
Okay.
Didn't you tell me 11?
Well, sort of 10 till 11.
No. They'll wait for you.
Okay.
Okay. So, you've shared a lot, and I want to open it to questions, but I'm going to ask the question I ask everybody. We've been together, not
I
as
like
long
that.
as you have, but we have been together a long time.
Oh, yeah.
And I have absolutely adored you both and loved
We
every
love you, Bobby.
Likewise.
Likewise.
But we're here at a company that we came for more emotion than logic in a lot of ways. And then the logic and the support came, but the emotion of why we're at Village is more important. So why are you still at Village in light of all that's going on? And there's been more than this shift in our lifetimes together and in your industry life.
Yeah. I mean, any company that's growing, which Village is a growing company, it has a product, it has a mission, it has what the community wants. So it's a company, like I said, started with 12 people. So, I mean, and in that growth, there's, you grow some and then you take a few steps back and then you grow some more and you evolve some more. So, but for me, I mean, it's the reasons why I came to Village. I come from a nonprofit sentiment, and that I know Village, it's a commitment, it's something that's enacted. It's not just a nice thought. But we give back to the community, and the people who've become a part of this company all seem to have similar values. So, it's just a fit. It remains a fit.
And I think it's got a place, no matter what kind of technology,
Oh, yeah.
and we evolve with it all.
Yeah.
But the element and the essence of who we are is a culture that I don't see anywhere
You
else.
said the C word, and for me,
I said the
that's
C word.
the C word. You know, I mean, a deal's a deal, and a day's a day, but you gotta work where you feel comfortable and you got a safe environment to learn and be yourself. And then, you gotta like who you're with and all that. And for us, it's always been that kind of place. We've always loved the agents that come in here. I don't know, 'cause everybody's cool, and like I said, there's a vibe, and I still feel the vibe. We're getting bigger.
I do too, and
The city's getting bigger too, and the city still has the vibe. So just because you grow doesn't mean you lose that. But I love that creative energy. I'm still a purple and white sign girl. I'm sorry.
Purple, everybody loves purple. Raise your hand.
It's just, it was a statement in the beginning, like, look at that sign out there, I love that purple and gray, but it was a statement in the beginning, it's still a statement, and I think we're all gonna change, we're gonna ebb and flow, but it's like any relationship you're in, it's like family, you have values. Everything else can change, but as long as I think the rooted values don't, and you connect to that, then that's the most important thing. So far, we've still.
So far, I think there's love flowing all through the halls all the time. Don't you?
Yeah, that's right.
I feel it.
Well,
Mark, do
I've
you
had
feel
my
love?
moments.
What do they say, love, love the one you live,
I've
right?
had my moments.
Yeah, we just put you in your room and close the door. All right, I'm gonna open this up to some questions. Who has questions for Jane and Beth? I got Terry, so this time it was a little Terry.
Come on.
Oh, no.
I just wanted to hear a little bit about your experience in Charleston and
Oh.
what that could have evolved in.
Oh.
I mean, again, all these things that just sort of
that.
happen. I mean, here's a classic one.
Well, when I started Village, I really was thinking about those kind of things, big picture. You know, where can we go? What can we do? How do you expand? I love cold calls. I'm one of those weird people.
You see
I
why
love-
she's
I
been so
love the
great to work with. I
unknown.
mean, really.
Yeah, I mean, I like knocking on doors and all that stuff. So, you know, that came from the people who brought the Enclave to town. And they bonded with Village and said, you know, we've got another opportunity. We're going to Charleston. Would y'all like to go with us? And Mark let me be a part of that a little bit. So we went to another city, and you know, just kind of it was green territory, but it was awesome because we had to figure it all out. And you know, we assembled a little team and went over there and started selling a building, and then the market tanked. So you know, markets tank.
Timing is
Yeah,
everything.
timing sucks sometimes, but you know what? You learn from those experiences.
Yes, you do.
My best learnings have been from probably my worst, I won't call them failures, but just dips
Challenges.
in life. And that was a dip. But you know, look what came out of that. You created some good connections and
John Knott.
yeah, I mean, you can tell that story probably, I didn't even remember it till you wrote it in your book, but I guess I was at the airport with this guy and he was sitting there and what happened? I threw his trash away or something?
Somebody dropped some trash and you picked it up and he goes,
Yeah.
you know, look how some people live, and you guys struck it up, and you ended up meeting with somebody who's a community builder in Noisette that was leading to a 6,000 unit development, and then the market tank. But
Yeah, so this guy was like, I didn't know him from Adam. We threw the trash away and started a conversation. This is how real estate works. And then he was a big developer there in Charleston where we were just touching on the ground. So I ended up getting a meeting for you guys to meet. And then that expanded in your world. And I just came back on work with Jane, but you know, it was fun. I mean, that's what I love about this business is that there's no top, there's no ceiling. When I was in the corporate world, there was always kind of a ceiling, right? And it's the joy and the curse of being independently employed, I guess, is that, you know, you're on your own with whomever you assemble with as a team or whatever, support staff, but the sky's the limit, and
you are
That'd be
ones
great.
that really detach from the outcome. In other words, you just go out and do.
Yeah.
And then the outcome will come, but you're not
No.
married to the outcome. It's just,
No.
this is what we do and
Right.
this is what's in front of us.
Right. And it's
Because
all
the
good.
outcome hasn't always been wonderful.
no, and sometimes it gets tight. Like when the market tanked, it was tight. But I always say, you know, you're either working hard because you have business or you're working hard because you're trying to get business. You're always in this industry working hard. But I don't think of the dollar so much usually. I'm just thinking, what am I doing every day? If I'm up and I'm working this hard and doing the best I can, all that's gonna take care of itself, and it always has so far. So, but you get to those times, you struggle a little bit.
Any more questions?
I ain't heard many questions.
Well, Mark had one.
Uh-oh.
Emily.
Best words of advice as a couple starting out together. You touched on it a little bit, but Jessica is so fired up about quitting this crazy job she does. And we always kind of bounce the idea around. Best tactical or emotional steps, would you say? Or planning.
Yeah, that might be a coffee up.
All right.
I will say.
First is don't say no to it. Always think of the possibility.
I will say that you know, Beth and I thought we knew each other really well. And then when we came to work together, we learned a whole new phase of each other. And, I mean, so it did require some communication and so it's different. It is different. Don't go into it with blinders.
Yeah, most people retire with their partner and then they get to know each other, right? Because that's when you're together all the time. We've already done all that.
Yeah.
So now in retirement, we're just gonna play. So we already got that figured out. More questions?
We gotta go.
You
We
guys.
gotta go.
Okay.
They
Yes,
don't even
ma'am.
start serving
I'll be
lunch.
Bobby.
It's okay, I can ask you.
Go ahead,
Oh,
Maggie.
no, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, I know, and we all talk about this all the time, but you said that even 20 years ago, you wish you'd hired someone to help you do the things that you are good at or enjoy. What would those things be? And they may be different for each of you because you're different people, but.
I think you really start with an assistant. If you're by yourself especially, like we cheat because we lean on each other.
Yeah.
And we can do a lot of tasks together. But I think a good assistant really is like the key to life. I mean,
but like basics,
paperwork and-
but like basics, like database.
yeah.
I hate database.
Anybody here like their database? I mean, I haven't heard anybody talk positively about the database.
It is your lifeline. It's your lifeline, it's your pipeline. And honest to goodness, if you can just develop one and really call on your referrals, I mean, the people you've done business with, I mean, that's where the next ones come from, and it just perpetuates itself as you go. I mean, right now, we look at our business, unfortunately, at the end of every year, and go, where did it come from? And I mean, you know, we're 85% referral.
90%.
So if you take care of those people and no one else, then it's gonna create some business. So however you choose to do it. I mean, we just do a monthly, newsletter via Facebook. That's all we do.
Now, this database,
Mm-hmm.
is this in some really elaborate CRM?
Not now, our assistant, it was when she was here, now it's in just right now it's in Emma, and it's in Facebook, and we just, you know, that's how, we don't do anything, like, no mailing.
But before we had all that, what did we do with our database?
We had a spreadsheet and we had,
Yeah, we had
a
Excel spreadsheet,
And before
Or-
computer?
Outlook.
Okay, any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you,
for
guys.
being here, for
Thank
sharing.
you for having us.
for
Sorry it took so
continu-
long.
I hope we have some pearls or some, but if you really wanna ask more questions or hear really the stories,
Do you have a?
just ask us
I
later.
have my own question.
After lunch.
Okay.
After lunch. After lunch.
One thing, I did the mentoring program with Village recently, and we're at that place in our life where, you know, we've had the joy of being in business for a long time. And I worked with Millie, and it was like one of the most rewarding things I've ever done. But I know you can't do that with everybody, but we've always been really good that if anybody wants to sit down and have a coffee or just have a, you know, a quick discussion, or just call us if you got a problem. That's how we've done it. We reach out to.
Always call that.
I mean, just holler. I mean, it's no big deal. We'll sit down and talk or something. We do that with our fellow realtors. I mean, you know, John and Kate and Mark and Lloyd. I mean, all these people that have been around us all these years. I still bug Bobby all the time. So if you want to talk, just holler. Yeah.
I thank you.
Thank you,
everybody.
Bobby.
Now you can go. You did great. You didn't even
Oh, well,
need
thank
to.
you, Bobby.